Recently, I've been working for a company that does a lot of drone photography. They've recently just got a new DJI Mavic 3 Pro, and obviously I asked, can I have a go? To which their response was, yeah. But they did lend me an alternative, which is DJI's smallest and cheapest drone that they do right now. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to be using it and testing it, and just seeing what this drone malark is all about. And with drones that can practically fly themselves these days.
Jesus Christ.
How hard could it be?
Oh,
I just want to start this video out by saying that DJI are not involved with this video, they're not sponsoring me, I've not received anything from them. This is a completely detached and external review from DJI. I'm here in the north of Cambridgeshire to do a quick flight test. It's going to be a bit of a challenge taking off because it sort of has to be on a flat surface. You might be able to take off on the bag actually. I don't know whether that's a good idea or not, but we'll see. So looking at the design and the build quality, this drone is compact and lightweight. It weighs under 249 grams, making it really light, portable and ideal for travel. There are also some regulatory restrictions that this drone flies under, no pun intended, in certain parts of the world, including where I am in the UK right now. The drone folds up like, sort of almost like a little locust, and it goes in this really handy bag, along with the controller and 3 batteries. In terms of durability, I have to say it does feel pretty damn plasticky, and there's been a couple of times where I've been slightly cautious to even take it out of the bag in fear of snapping one of the sort of arm things off or damaging the casing or something like that. But it has held up pretty well. But I've been using this drone now for a couple of months, including on some paid gigs, and I have to say it's held up pretty well. I've had no damage or any cosmetic issues so far, so that's good. Okay, switching the controller on first. So it's one press to check battery life and then another press to actually switch on the unit, whether that be the controller or the drone. We've got our takeoff permitted, so without further ado, let's take her off.
Take off. Home point updated.
So the camera and video quality, so it can do up to 4K in 30 frames per second, which is kind of really the base requirement for anything that shoots video these days. If you want to do 60 frames per second, you need to drop to 2.7K. In terms of the photo quality, these are 12 megapixels. They're high res enough, and I've always been pretty happy with the colours that come straight out of camera. The gimbal on this thing is fantastic. In fact, recently I was taking it out into sort of, not high winds, but you know, it was pretty windy outside, and looking up at the drone, it was moving around all over the place. But the video footage is super smooth and stable, and so DJI have really nailed that 3-axis gimbal. It sounds counterintuitive, but I think the higher you get, the easier it really is to control, or to sort of make it look like it's under control. When you get sort of close to the ground, you get a lot more parallax, and your sort of crappy drone piloting skills are crudely revealed. So the interesting thing, this has a zoom function. Unfortunately, it is just a digital zoom. You might be able to see me. Yeah, quality's not that great, so I think I'm gonna steer away from using the digital zoom function. Something pretty fun, and I guess something that's becoming more relevant now, is vertical shooting. You can actually flip the camera on the gimbal and shoot vertically. Not that I've used this yet, but it's nice to have. The lens is a 24mm equivalent and is f1.7. It has a 1/1.3 inch sensor. In terms of the flight performance, DJI claim that you can get 30 to 40 minutes on a single battery, and broadly speaking, I've found this to be actually quite accurate. The battery life's pretty damn impressive, especially for the size. Although the battery life does heavily depend on the conditions. Like I say, when I was shooting it the other day and it was a little bit windy, battery life did suffer a bit, just because the drone is just having to fight and compensate for that wind. As for the features and modes, it includes quick shot, panorama, and hyperlapse, and obviously it does include the return to home function that you'll find on basically any DJI drone of its generation. Thankfully, I've not had to use this one yet, but yeah, touch wood.
So I'm only about 30 metres off the floor now, so I'm going to test the sport mode, which is high speed, and we'll see what we can get out of it. Here we go. Jesus Christ.
So moving on to ease of use now, and to be honest, as I say, I'd never flown a drone before trying this one out, and I have to say, for the most part, they do tend to fly themselves. I was given a quick rundown by the company's director on the control functions, which again are pretty universal across DJI drones, and so I found it to be pretty beginner friendly. The controls are simplified, and it's ideal for anyone who's interested in dipping their toe in the water when it comes to drone piloting. The remote controller is great, and I have to say, ergonomically, it feels really nice. Although I'm suspecting it's only going to be a matter of time before I lose these things, which screw onto the joysticks. This kind of feels like a little bit of an afterthought, I must say, and yeah, I'm definitely probably going to have to be paying for a few replacements of those. But so far, it's been all good. In terms of the price and the value, it's pretty unbeatable. It's super affordable, especially for what you're getting, which is a 4K drone. And like I say, I've been using this for client work, and as far as I know, we've had no complaints about the quality from any of the clients. It's all held up with the more expensive drones. DJI have really kind of managed to keep a nice balance between all of the features that you want and need in a drone, whilst also making it super beginner friendly and ideal for hobbyists and travelers and just anyone looking to get into drone photography. Of course, like anything though, there are some limitations, and with a product that's on this price point, those limitations definitely exist. So there's no obstacle avoidance at all. There's no advanced sensors on the unit, which means that you're pretty much recommended to only fly this in open spaces where you can really keep an eye on your surroundings. There's no 4K and 60, which today in most cameras is kind of a very base level setting. It's popular. People like to shoot in 60 frames per second. That being said, that's not actually been a problem for me. So it's got fairly limited range compared to some of their other models. I found that even just the slightest obstacle, for example, a tree or maybe a building that I'm trying to fly over, I ran out of range pretty quickly and got that dreaded warning sign on the controller.
Ah, damn. Starting to lose signal.
The last thing that I'm not particularly happy about myself is that there's absolutely no log format. You're stuck with Rec 709. And this to me is just ridiculous. It would be so easy for DJI to do a firmware upgrade and to allow this as a feature. What I think they're doing is just trying to protect features that are on their higher end models. That being said, even my phone can shoot log now. I don't think that this is some advanced feature that should be limited to cinema cameras and high-end drones. I've got to admit though, the Rec 709 footage is really nice and there's plenty of dynamic range to pull from. So in terms of my sort of final thoughts on this drone, I think it's perfect for beginners and hobbyists, people who are travelling and need to keep weight and the weight of their luggage down. Also anyone who's looking to get into drone photography and they just want to kind of dip their toe in the water a little bit. That's very much been my experience with this. The people that this drone is not for is probably professional filmmakers, you know, people who are doing high-end professional videography work on a regular basis, people who need those advanced features, those higher bit rates, the log formats, those higher frame rates, and other advanced features as well. You're definitely going to want to look at some of their higher end drones. But anyway, so far I've been pretty impressed with this little drone. I'm sure I'll be shooting it for many more months to come. And I've even got a gig in Spain coming up in a couple of weeks, so that'll be really cool to continue to test this out and continue to put it through its paces. What's up everyone? Thank you so much for watching that video. Please do consider dropping it a like. It lets the YouTube algorithm know to put this in front of more eyes. Comment if you've got any questions or queries about anything you saw in the video. And finally, subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with all of my future uploads. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.
That is not how you fly a drone, by the way.